I'm really looking forward to getting into the book. I'm looking forward to getting into your life as a writer and as a mom and everything that leads into the book. So thank you for taking a minute out today. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you for very much for inviting me. I'm going to have a good time, and I see your United States of America in the back, and I'm wondering, like, okay, what's the story there?
I'm a visual artist and I kind of did this on a whim. It's my wife is a high school English teacher, so she actually has the
Ah,
original room. I put the canvas down. I'm like, what am I going to do? And I was like, I've never really painted the United States. So I really wanted to kind of get the curvatures and kind of play with it. And then I just used bold colors and whatnot and it turned into a logo and here we are. It was just kind of something that was spur of the moment.
it's wonderful, and isn't
Thank you.
it true that things that are spur of the moment like that uh, are so fascinating,
Yes.
and it turns out to be maybe some of your best. I don't know
Yeah, no.
your story, but
Yeah.
it speaks because it has so many of the colors, and like you get the picture of the United States, but it's not all the same. It's all very different from.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's vibrant. It's like our country. And especially when I think about Idaho and all of these states around, how much room we have. Because when you think about Europe, for instance, everything's kind of compressed together. You can go country to country relatively easily, but in this
Exactly.
country, it's just everything's so separate and but it's colorful. There's
Yeah,
a lot going on.
it
So,
is
um,
very,
so let me
very.
ask you this. I want to begin our conversation before we get into your life by asking you this. 5 years ago, this pandemic was really throwing everything into the unknown. How much of living through that global pandemic influenced you as a writer or affected your life?
I would say it slowed me down and just made me relax and just um, sleep longer,
Yeah.
get up later, and it was not bad for me because I just enjoyed not having to be somewhere a lot. I could just stay home and read and write and bake cookies and
Yeah, absolutely. It was a good time for a pause, that's for sure. So let me ask you this. If I put you in front of a bunch of 12-year-olds, the kids always get the truth out of us. It's career day, it's a bunch of 12-year-olds, and one of the kids in the room says, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" How do you answer them?
well, I would say first of all, I'm a mom. Second, I have been a teacher, a librarian for 12 years in a middle school. So, and I love middle school, that age, that age range of children. I have a degree in literacy, a master's degree in literacy, and my favorite thing is writing. Pencil. This is a pen. I just grabbed it, but
Yeah,
those little pencils that you just get the lead a little bit longer.
yeah.
Um, that's my favorite tool.
So I'm reading, I listen to audiobooks. So I'm listening to the audiobook by Bonnie Garmus called Lessons in Chemistry. It's actually a show on TV now. And at
Um,
one point, and this just struck me, and I just literally listened to this morning. She was telling her daughter in the book that one of the most important and smartest people in any school is a librarian because they always have the answers right next to them. If they don't know it, they can find out pretty quick. And I thought it was a real clever way of weaving together the prowess of the librarian.
well, we like to fool the students that way and let them think that we know everything as
Right.
librarians.
That's it.
We actually don't know
Well,
everything,
but
but
at least you have access. If you needed to find something,
yeah.
you're in a room of knowledge so you can do it. So let me ask you this. When you were 12 years old, what was your dream job? What did you want to do when you grew up?
Oh, when I was 12 years old, I think I wanted to be a ballerina
Okay.
or maybe a famous singer, dancing. I am a ballroom dancer, so
Okay.
I do love to dance.
Okay. Excellent. So let me ask you this. What take me back to where you were born and raised. What were these seeds of getting into education, of being a writer, of loving the word, loving the pen? How did all of this kind of get cultivated and planted and harvested into who you are today?
My father was a superintendent of schools in two school districts, Shelley High, which is a small town in Idaho, and also American Falls, Idaho, where I met my husband, Dan Hawkley. And so he was always reading. My mother was a letter writer extraordinaire. She wrote letters to her mother all of the years that she was raising her children. Then she wrote letters to her children for 40 more years. Uh, each one, individual letters to all six of us every week.
Wow.
And just seeing her do that, I'm not big on letter writing anymore, but she just was writing all the time. She spent her Monday was her writing day. She just would write all the letters.
Wow.
And so my parents were academic people, and they just taught me to love words. I love words. I love words.
So what about books growing up? What was your favorite book? What was the one that made you love reading or made you want to read more?
Let's see. I think the one that comes to my mind, this is a great question, is like the teeny tiny lady
Yeah.
and or the teeny tiny woman. So this teeny tiny woman, she had this little teeny tiny voice, and then it kept getting bigger. And when my mother read that book to us, um, it would be she had a teeny tiny voice, and then it would get bigger, and then all of a sudden it would be shouting, like get out, or I forget the last thing, because she kept hearing this strange voice, and our mother would just scare the bejeekers out of us. By the end of the story, she had us all, but we loved it. We wanted it. Can you just read it again?
Yeah.
And I loved
So was she
that.
pretty prolific with reading stories? Is that how you kind of fell in love with
Yes,
storytelling?
yes.
Yeah,
She read to us a lot.
that's a gift for sure. Yeah. My wife does that for high school kids. She was a fifth grade teacher for about 25 years, 20 years, and she segued into high school, and they love it. Like all of the kids apps, if you can read well, and she does, they absolutely love this. I mean, it just there's things that just will never fade away in the American education system. Things may evolve and devolve, but that I think will always be a standard that people will love to hear a good story being read.
Exactly. And I love it to this day if I'm troubled or just going to bed with not in a good mood or whatever. If I just turn on a book on tape,
Yeah.
then and just get into bed, then within a few minutes, and then later on, 2 or 3 hours later, in the middle of the night, I'll wake up thinking to turn it off, but it's just already it's already off.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So let me ask you this. As a writer, what was the first story that you wrote that moved somebody, that made you think, that's what you should be doing? Writing made sense to you. Did you get that kind of visceral reaction from somebody?
Yes. My son, Dan, who you just met a little bit
Yeah.
ago, was graduating from high school. And he's our oldest. And it was just a shock that the time had gone by so fast and he was already ready for moving away to college and everything. And
Yeah.
I just it just uh, struck me as like this is way too fast. And so I decided to write something about that. And I wrote a piece called Graduation Day. and put my heart into it. And then I thought, oh, this is. Or when my husband read it, he said, oh, you need to take this down to the Mountain Home News in Mountain Home, and we were living there at the time, and see if they'll put this in the paper. And I'm like, oh, but he kept saying, no, I want you to do that. And so I took it there, and they put it in. Well, then in the paper, and then Dan, my husband, again encouraged me, you should send this to the Reader's Digest. So I did send it to the Reader's Digest, and they published it there.
Wow.
And so then I was just off and running because
Yeah.
I just thought, oh, I have a lot of things, you know, I have a lot of stories about just what it's like to be a mother, and
Yeah.
letting go, and you know, how you deal with teenagers, how you get through with 2-year olds, and just the fun of it. It became more of a very lighthearted. It's nothing like, oh, do this,
Sure.
and you'll enjoy mothering. It's not. It was more like just things that happen to all of us that
Yeah.
are unusual, and everyone's story is different.
Absolutely
That's one
unique.
thing I really uh, uh, believe strongly is, um, yes, there are billions of mothers in the world, but only one mom.
Yeah. Yeah. Well said.
That's
So let me ask you this. Who has been kind of an inspiration for you in all of these years to find your voice in writing, to put stories out for people, to become who you are? Who has been that for you, a hero?
I would say my children have just every day is something different. Or my grandchildren, oh my, they have so many more things going on that sometimes I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
and just to be able to kind of sit back and watch my own children with their children. And sometimes I want to give advice, but I really try to avoid doing that, because um, to either my children or my grandchildren, because this is their time and their lives, and so I try and just enjoy the ride.
So how many kids, how many grandkids?
6 sons, 2 daughters, grandkids, I think 12.
Wow.
Um,
You're
yeah, so
That's amazing. So let me ask you about the book, Once Upon an Amateur Mom. Talk to me a little bit about this book. Talk to me a little bit about what went into this, and just kind of give me an abstract.
well, remember, I had said that I wrote the article about my son graduating,
Yeah.
and then I started the newspaper, Mountain Home newspaper said, well, you should write a column. So I just started a column for them, and then started. It became in several other newspapers in Idaho. Um, I just had a column going, and so then I had to write something every week, because they don't just want it once in a while. They want one every week. So then my husband Dan kept giving me ideas. Oh, you should, or I would say something. I would mumble about one of the kids doing something or not doing something, and he would say, "You should write about that." And I would say, "Oh, okay, I will." And then a couple of days later, he would say, "Have you written that article yet?" And so he kept not badgering me, but he was. I think maybe 3 or 4 times a week. Then he would say, "You should write something about whatever it was that we were going through, or whatever silly thing the kids would have done, um, something specific that just comes to my mind is, the day that one of our children got into the um, or I kept honey in the bottom drawer thing, and one of my kids got into the honey, and I was out of the room, and don't ever put honey in the bottom of any place that you don't want it all over the house, because
Yeah.
it just turned out to be
Yeah. That,
a problem. And
oh yeah.
then of course the popcorn, once a week popcorn we would have, and then it just gets strung all through the house, and you have to. It's just those things
Yeah.
that he would say, did you write something about that? And then I would do it.
Yeah.
That's
So let
my
me ask
he
you
was
this.
my best.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. I'm a child of the 80s. I'm 52. So I remember growing up and there was a freedom that doesn't happen today. Like I could ride my bike all day, I would be out, I would go places, I would just there was all kinds of adventures that I would get on. And I just see how careful parents are today and how protective they are. What do you think? Do you think that's good to have extra levels of protection and monitoring, or do you think there should be a little bit more freedom like when I was growing up in the 80s? What's your philosophy on that?
I'll be on the freedoms end of it is, and you met my son Dan just
Yeah.
a little while. Well, and he and his brothers still get together. In fact, they're probably getting together. If not today, then it'll be sometime this week. And there are three or four of them that they just get together and they go bike riding, and then they come home with pictures of their jumping off these places at the bike park where I mean it's in the air. The bicycle and the child, they're not children, of course, they're men, um, and they're in the air
Yeah.
with their bikes, and I'm like, I just think, okay, it's a picture and they're home
Yeah,
and
right.
they're still alive. So
They survived.
just, but I want to say, oh, you boys shouldn't. I want to say, why are you doing this? This is dangerous. You're gonna break, you're gonna break a bone or blah blah blah. But I'm just like, no, just enjoy the picture that's them being in the air, going down. They're going to land in the rock that's right below them,
Yeah.
because that's what's going to happen. But I just have to let it go and just
Yeah.
be happy for them.
Yep, I get it. So, Renee, of everything that you've done in your life, everything that you've accomplished and become, what are you the proudest of?
What am I the proudest of? I guess just being. Oh, you're going to make me cry. I just love. I do love being a mom.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love that.
Well, you've clearly
That's
dedicated your life to it, especially with writing, and you've inspired so many. So I'm curious, what's the best letter you've ever gotten from somebody? Best fan letter?
Oh boy, I don't know. I think somebody wrote sometime, you remind me of me, or
Yeah.
she said that, you remind me of me. And I just thought, I I just felt like, oh, if I only writing to one person, which actually I'm writing for my children. I want them to know these stories because they'll forget them.
Yeah.
And but for other people who just happen to read things, then I'm just like, if they can feel like I feel sometimes, and with the laughing, with the crying, with all of the things that you go through that are hard, with the graduations and just like the broken ankles and the broken arms and just the things when you have disappointments or you, um, feel like a failure a lot. A lot of being a mom is feeling like a failure. You
Yeah.
can't get around that. It's going to happen.
Yeah, for sure. So at the end of the day, everyone has a perception of you. Family, friends, all of your readers, everyone that knows you, that's worked with you, but you run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
Oh, these are hard
Yeah,
questions.
I try to get to
Uh,
this the soul of things.
Say the question one more time.
So it's really about perception because everybody sees you in a different light. Like your grandkids, your children, your husband, everybody that you've worked with, everybody that reads you and may never meet you, they all have this idea of who they think you are. But ultimately, since you're the one that's living your life, who do you think you are? What's your perception of you?
I think I just want to do good. I want to be a good person.
Yeah.
I want to help. I just want to help people. I want to help my family. I want to, I want to, I want to, when I get up in the morning and then by the end of the day, I want to have like done something that's worthwhile, not worthy, but like I've done something that's, oh, I helped the little wasp that appears in my mailbox every day. I let it out again. I
Yeah.
don't know how it keeps getting in there,
Right.
but if I only let that wasp out once a day for as long as the wasp is around, then it makes me feel good.
Yeah. So the book Once Upon an Amateur Mom, which you're clearly a professional mother. Yes. How can people pick up a copy? How can they reach out if they want to send you a note, send you an email, any of the good business? Where do they go?
I think Amazon is the one place it is right now.
Okay.
And I mean, if they want to, I don't know if I want to send my address. I would send anybody a copy if they had.
Okay. Okay. I will put the link to Amazon in the show notes. You did wonderful. This has been absolutely great. Thank you so much for your story.
Thank you so much. I
Thank you for,
really appreciate the invitation and good luck with your future drawings of the United States. Keep
yes,
them coming
I will.
because
I absolutely will.
they're,
Yes.
yeah, very nice.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you,
I appreciate it. Take
Joe.
care. See ya. Hello, friends. Joe Dimino here. I just wanted to let you know that after 30 years or so, I have finally released my first book of poetry through the mighty Spartan Press here in Kansas City, Missouri. As the creator and host of both Neon Jazz Radio and the Famous Interviews with Joe Dimino podcast, along with being a visual artist, I'm ready to embark on a new adventure and want you to be a part of it. You can get a copy online via Barnes & Noble, Amazon, and actually on the streets in Kansas City at the great Prospero's bookstore off 39th Street. You can also visit joedimino.com for links to the book, to more poetry, and everything in my world, including paintings. Thanks for all of the love and support over the years, and please dig the words.